Yes, we're live.
And
Welcome
we're
in to
live.
another podcast of
Just Like
Us.
Us.
I'm your host, Justin Burbis, my lovely co-host,
Letty
Letty
Zito.
Welcome. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're at in the world. We
Yeah.
appreciate you taking the time to spend with us. Today is a special podcast. We have none other than Desmond Soon in the building. And let me
Desmond
introduce someone who's changed the
Soon.
game for us. Desmond Soon is a world-class strategist, mentor, and investor who's helped thousands of entrepreneurs scale income and impact without sacrificing family or freedom. He's worked with legends like Dan Lok and Robert Kiyosaki, helped build million-dollar systems, and taught us the IPA. It doesn't mean beer, you guys. It means income producing activities. But more than that, Desmond believed in us before we even believed in ourselves. He mentored us from the heart, moves like a CEO, and lives what he teaches. This man turns setbacks into comebacks, and tonight we give him his flowers. Desmond Soon, welcome to Just Like Us.
Welcome in, Desmond Soon.
I'm honored. I'm privileged, and I'm very proud of you. I just want to start off by saying I'm extremely proud of Justin and Letty. Right, I've been a guest on the other side, watching them go live for consistently, if anything at all. Is that I'm super proud of both of you because I've seen how far you've come and grown. And once again, I'm just happy to be on the show here and add value. And now to be part of the show, sitting side by side with two amazing champions and leaders like yourself.
Yes, absolutely. Yes,
Thanks,
again.
Desmond.
So, first off, IPA. We know that's not a beer. We just mentioned that. Can you explain a little bit about what IPA is and how that? Cheers, mate. Right up.
Cheers.
It is Friday, right? No, well, this
Right.
is just sparkling, right? Just sparkling water. So, and IPA stands for income producing activities. Income producing activities, and that's probably the number one biggest thing that all of us have. Go to schools, we get degrees. Some of us entrepreneurs do street smarts, and we get resourceful. Some in the wrong way, some in the right way. I'm guilty of pretty much every way. And the number one thing that I learned from my mentors was that you have to be intentional about income producing activities. You have to take the lead on that. I'm not sure if that's just a guy thing. It's like sort of, my dad was an engineer, very stoic. He went to work. He wasn't the entrepreneur. He's the antithesis of entrepreneur, right? He's like the opposite, and he actually dislikes sales. He dislikes entrepreneurship. He dislikes business. I say that with respect to my dad. He loves engineering. And so I had to learn from mentors that taught me income producing activities. And it made sense when I understood that it wasn't just having a job. It was about solving problems for people. And then the more problems you solve, the more you are compensated for it, right? And so, yeah, that's, when we met, that was one of the things that both Letty and Justin, you're wonderful individuals. You give so much back to the community. But some of the questions I used to ask you guys was always, what is the income producing activity that you're doing? Are you focused on it? Are you just being busy, helping everyone, but not putting the oxygen mask on yourself?
Absolutely. Yes.
Yes.
Go ahead.
And yeah, I would say, yeah. Anyway, listen, like when we met you, this whole idea of business and income producing activities, my income producing activities were going to my 9 to 5,
Right.
and being the best that I could be there. Right. And I made really good money for some really big companies. And so this was like an absolutely new concept. And it's blown my mind, right? And just all the skills, like looking back, I mean, even just what I did today, I did try to put a little presentation together in like 2 minutes, but just, realizing that what we learned from you in the social media income challenge, when we came in on season 15 to where we're at today, this was February of 2024. It's now June 2025, right?
Yeah.
And we both have made some money doing some of those income producing. It might not be like millions of dollars yet, but we started to do it. And that is, that's been the catalyst, is joining, meeting you and being a part of, the Spectacular School of Business and being part of the social media income challenge. Just having all these mind-blowing moments, right, happen for us. And it finally is starting to click.
Yeah.
And then we've had more mentors and more people come in and just pour into us and learn so much more about how to
Let me say this.
produce.
Desmond, sorry, babe.
Go ahead.
Sorry.
Go
Desmond
ahead.
Soon was the reason that we started this podcast, you guys.
Mm.
I mean, straight up, like he had mentioned, hey, you guys should, maybe get something going like a podcast, and we went full fledged.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Something that, and one of the things I think with a mentor is when you show them the results that you're taking action on what they are mentoring you about. Yeah, I think that's like a proud dad moment. Would you say that, Desmond? When you see your
mentee, I am a proud dad, right? I'm a single dad, and I have mentioned that to both of you. And I'm 48 years old now, and when I saw you guys just taking off, that's probably one of the biggest gifts you can give to a mentor is actually just implementing something. And by the way, I do want to acknowledge both of you because you have been superstar, spectacular stars. You have been part of the alumni. You've been mentored by Spectacular Smith, and you know that Spectacular Smith is one of my mentors. He's one of my business mentors, my business partners, and I've been honored and privileged to be part of his community and his alumni, and just spreading his mission of impacting 1 billion people around the world. And you guys came along, and along that journey, you grew from being absolutely terrified, not ever being able to. And by the way, I just want to give a shout out. I see Glenda Boone there. I see Sarah. Many alumni members here and fraternity members popping into the chat here, and they know what we're talking about. They know what we've been through to learn how to monetize social media, right? And you've heard me tell this $1 story. Do you mind if I just share with the
absolutely.
audience?
Not at all.
Go for it.
Feel free.
So back in 2014, after living in Japan for 12 years, getting married, having 2 kids, having worked at Goldman Sachs, Lehman Brothers, working with all the major financial firms and providing consulting services, I learned the skill of raising capital. I was really good at speaking to potential investors, getting them, selling them the dream, selling them the idea. I raised $500,000 for a jewelry business that did some bougie things with Louis Vuitton and champagne glasses with rubies in it and risque products, only to find that business collapsed and we ran out of cash flow and we were overspending. And myself and the business partner, the young gentleman that I partnered with, we ended up burning through the investors $500,000. Shortly after, dragging our tail between our legs, I go and raise another $500,000. This time, my ex-wife, at that time she was my fiance. My fiance was in the restaurant and food business. Her mom's a five-star Michelin chef in Tokyo, multiple years, 8 years in a row. And what happened was, let me take that back. She's a 2-star. There's only 3 stars. 2-star. There's not 5-star. 2-star Michelin chef for 8 years. And what happened was we set up a bistro. That was another $500,000 investment to get the restaurant going, to get the staff going. And again, that too went through challenges, only to find ourselves on the verge of bankruptcy because I then got into the music industry. And I was partnered with a Nigerian American from Atlanta, Georgia, who was connected to Quincy Jones, connected to Red One. And when we did that, we used to bring talents over to Japan for tours, Little John, and you just name it, all the big major names. That's how I stumbled upon they were on our list. I knew of Spectacular Smith. I knew he was making moves. I knew that he was someone different from just the typical artists and musicians out there. He had a very entrepreneurial mind about it. And then lo and behold, I go through almost what was called bankruptcy. We didn't ever file bankruptcy. We decided to separate ways, my wife and myself. She decided to stay on in Tokyo to clean up her businesses and things. I came back to Canada, and that's when I was put in touch and connected with not only Spectacular Smith, but his really good friend, another multimillionaire in Vancouver, where I live, and that's Dan Locke. And at that very time there, when I was first learning how to monetize the internet, I learned how to make my first dollar. Now, why is that important for everyone? Because that was my first big MBM, or we call it MBM, means mind-blown moment, where I learned how to make my first dollar online. Now, I want to share that with all of you because of this. By me sharing this with you in my shoes, for the audience listening right now, I want you to think of this. If you can learn a skill to make $1,000 or even $1, how about just $1? Start with $1 like I did. If you can make $1 from the internet, what would you do to multiply that?
Yeah.
What would you do? And you can still keep your job. You could still, have your whatever you're doing, your business. But if you could just do that in your part-time, what would you do? Well, that was my story. I first made my first dollar online, and then the light bulb went off, and I was like, oh my gosh, I can multiply this. And that dollar became $100. It became $1,000. It became $10,000. And together with Spectacular Smith's really good friend, the multimillionaire, we went on to build a $50 million company. And we entrepreneurs, moms and dads, single parents, corporate, government, it didn't matter. We didn't discriminate. We taught to people in over 150 countries around the world, over 20,000 individuals, and we taught them a highly monetizable skill, which was learning how to do income producing activities such as closing, such as speaking, such as being a coach or consultant, teaching them how to build that skill so that they could then not depend only on a job, but they could then start making their own money online. That's really the short version of the story. Many of you guys on the chat there, I'm sure you can see that you've heard the story before, and it goes on. There's more details behind it. But I want to pass the mic to Justin and Letty there. You guys came along the way, and you wanted to start a podcast. You wanted to start an e-com store. You wanted to learn some skills. Letty, you have very different gifted skills than Justin. Justin wants to be on stage, right? And so I was faced with a conundrum. I was like, what can we do for the two of you? And then you guys, hats off to you. You started, Justin, you've always been a very sharp dresser. Letty has always been she's very beautiful and elegant. But I started seeing you guys synchronize on something. Letty wanting to help people with, substance abuse and addictions and more of the feeling in the heart, and the connection. And Justin, you're a wonderful person. You love on people and you have such a great energy. And you really just you make people excited about life again, right? And you're an amazing dad, by the way. Both of you are amazing parents. So wonderful to you guys. Kudos for where you got to right now.
And it's great having someone like you as a mentor as well, someone to push you, to drive you. Because let's be honest, when you're uncomfortable, it's not always that easy to get up and want to do the things that you don't want to do, right? So, but when you're pushed by somebody in a positive manner, it's like, you know what, you can do this. You start setting boundaries, and like you actually start breaking these barriers. And so I feel it's necessary to have the right who's around you. It's not how you got there, but who helped you get there. And one of the books that you recommended that I'm reading right now is Atomic Habits. And these things, I'm starting to see how these things incorporate into business and why it is important to start reading books. And I think everybody who's been in my life that's been able to push me, but people like yourself and a lot of the SSB alumni have been a huge part of our most recent success. And I think that's important to have the right who's around us. So again, having you in our life has only done positive things for us. So how do you feel about that, Letty?
I couldn't agree more. Des, I think it was probably about 3 years ago when I wrote in my journal and I shared it with Justin about speaking to people. I think I even put in there a podcast, right? So when you brought that back around to us, I was like, wow, really? Maybe, I don't know, like in front of people. Look, I like attention too. Like, I'm not going to pretend like I don't.
She does.
Because I do.
She does.
But
right. Yeah.
Can I say?
For real.
So I was like, it's perfect. It's like, I can remember as a little girl taking a brush, because we didn't have mics like we do today, but a brush in my hand and being in the mirror and making speeches and singing songs. Or I would get, my cousins to like, hey, come follow me, and we would make signs and they would follow me around the neighborhood as I sang or I spoke. And that is what I dreamt about. And now, now having this platform and this podcast, on Facebook and YouTube, that gives us the opportunity to share our story and remind people, right, that their story is important, and all the things, all the dreams that you had when you were a kid, they really can come true, right? With a little hard work and the right people in your corner leading you on, like Glenda Boone and Sarah Masoni on here, just incredible people that we met through the SMIC, Social Media Income Challenge, and the Spectacular School of Business. It's all starting to click and make sense. And, you know, I'm doing things that I never thought I'd be able to do. And, you know, I wouldn't have been able to do that if I hadn't, you know, if Justin hadn't saw the ad and, you know, told me about it. I was like, oh my gosh, is this going to be another one of those things? Right. But it's been truly a blessing. And then to have met you and have you pushing us, you know, pulling things out of us that sometimes I'm like, ooh, Des, I don't want to do that. But I take it in. I take it in, and I'm like,
I appreciate
hey, you know
it.
what?
Also,
I could do this. I could do this.
and I want to acknowledge Glenda, who just wrote on the chat as well, right? She's just said, you know, I learned so much from Desmond because of his mastery at teaching me how to create income producing activities. I wake up each day to at least one sale. 100% super proud of Glenda. Glenn, if anyone's watching this and it's your very first time, whether you're watching the replay or the live, do you mind if I give you guys tips? Because that's what whenever I'm in the challenge or Spectacular Chris asks me to give the members tips. That is so critical, is the people you surround yourself with. Glenda, like many others, was struggling to do things on her own, and she still had to figure things out on her own, right? Don't get me wrong. Business is not going to be a cakewalk. You definitely have to solve problems. You're going to have to be more resourceful. You have to be coachable. You have to be an action taker. But one thing that I noticed about Glenda and Justin and Letty was they got together. They started forming teams. They started forming pods, accountability pod members. And that is so critical, because when you have accountability pod members, you tend to do things not convenient, even when it's out of your comfort zone. True or not true?
Yeah,
true.
And that is why Glenda is successful. That's why you're successful, right? Yes. As much as I love the fact that you're giving me grace and you're giving me flowers for being a major catalyst in your life, along with Spectacular Smith and many other mentors, books, and you know, inspirational leaders that you followed, you know, including number one, obviously God as well too, right? We put God right at the very center. Yes. And I just want to let you guys know, you have been amazing, because 96% of the population will talk about it. They'll dream about being successful, but they're not willing to do things when it's not convenient. And when money is not there, or when resources are not there, instead of getting resourceful at that time, instead of leaning on a community, they go inward and try to solve everything themselves. And that's when the enemy attacks. That's when the enemy knows you're out there in the wilderness by yourself. And that's when the enemy comes at you. Just like our Lord in the desert by himself, that's when temptation comes in. So stay close to a tribe. Stay close to a tribe of wonderful individuals, people that got your back, people that, you know, and feed off each other. Sometimes you're having a bad day, they're not. They can give you energy. And sometimes it's going to be the other way around, where you're giving them energy when they're having
absolutely.
And I can remember what was one thing you talked about, resources, right? It's not a lack of resources, but
it's a lack of
resourcefulness.
Yes.
And I can tell you that we have had to be very resourceful, right? I mean, because, you know, it's one income household right now, and has been for the last couple of years. And so let me tell you, my resourcefulness has really kicked in. And Glenda is somebody that, you know, I know personally, who I've shared a lot of things with, you know, who I've been to her academy, and I'm so impressed and seeing all the women in there and what she's doing to, you know, to empower us as women and give us a voice, right? And help us all.
You weren't perfect, right? Yourself, you weren't perfect. And when you saw Glenda, you saw her backstage. Was she perfect? No, she wasn't. She just did it. She did it imperfect, but she failed forward. She grew forward. She, you know, just like yourselves, the very first podcast you did, you didn't look as polished as you are now. You didn't have as great of equipment. You didn't know the dynamics, all the software to use. Those are all irrelevant. The fact was, you just got started. You just did it. And you just kept showing up. You showed up when no one even showed up. You guys showed up. You showed up Wednesdays and Fridays, and you always showed up, and you delivered, even if you had no audience. I know, because I used to watch your recording. You may have thought that I wasn't watching. I was watching pretty much. I can't say I watched every episode, but I watched a good 80% of your episodes, right?
Yeah.
Even when you thought I was not watching.
Shout out to the people I got Shreese Gillian. This is one of my mentors right now as well for Biz Success Academy. Shout out to her for being a huge part of and a catalyst in my life right now. So thank you for being here, Sister Shreese. That's Desmond Soon. That's one of my other mentors. So I'm glad to have everybody here and supporting. It feels good to have the right who's around you. I have a question for you, Desmond.
Yes.
So what belief did you have to unlearn to become who you are today?
Before I dive into that, Sharice, I'm going to validate what Justin just said there. When you're not around, Sharice, Justin is talking the world about you, right? He is excited. He edifies you all the time. So keep doing what you're doing. Jordan, great to see you in the chat as well, too. And yes, you know, I'm sure you tell Sharice many times how much you appreciate Sharice, but to have her hear someone else validate that, Sharice, on my word, I'm telling you, Justin and Letty say amazing things about you and the work that you've done to support him. And I can see it in him. He doesn't even have to say it. I can see it in him. So the question that you asked was, what is one of the limiting beliefs, or what was the beliefs that I had to overcome, right, in order to get to where I'm at? Well, many of the alumni members or the fraternity members of the Spectacular School side there, or anyone that may have known me even from the Danlock days, would know that when I came back to Canada at the age of 36 with two young boys, 2 and 3 years old, my youngest one in particular had really, really bad eczema, a skin condition. He was almost allergic to everything. It's kind of like being allergic to air, right? That kind of sucks. And I had to raise him, and with the help of my parents and also myself. And it was really, really tough because I was always very confident when it came to speaking. I was always very confident. Some of you out there might be thinking like, oh, Des, I wish I could have. Trust me, there's a double-edged sword to everything. I think the grass is greener over on this side because I was, talented at speaking, or I love to speak, but that comes with a double-edged sword. Sometimes I spoke too much. I was arrogant at that time, and I thought I knew everything. And that was where my downfall was because I was overconfident in my abilities. And I wasn't leveraging enough mentors in my life. And when my mentors got involved in my life, what started to happen was the number one thing was they kicked my rear end. I remember very specifically being told this phrase: "You want my income, I don't want yours. How's it working out for you right now, Des?" And that was a big slap to the face. And for the first time in 36 years, I decided to shut my trap and actually listen. And my relationship with money, because when you are tight on money, at that time, $150,000 in debt, I'm pretty much on the Canadian equivalent of Section 8. It was very tough. I had my nice suits. I looked good still. I had 1 or 2 suits I brought back from Tokyo. Everything else, I had all these Italian-made suits, Zegna, you name it. All these suits, my Armanis and everything, I had to throw them away. And when I came back with the 2 suits, I looked good, I smelled good, but I was broke. Broke. My pride would not allow me to admit it. And it was because of a mentor that saw more in me and believed more in me that really touched me. He could have easily just kicked me to the curb for my arrogance. Instead, he decided to work on me. He decided to take time out of his precious schedule instead of him making his millions, and he decided to work on me as a project. Maybe God spoke to him, and he decided out of the kindness of his heart to take me under his wing. That really touched me. And that has carried on. I believe Justin and Letty have even said this multiple times, that he saw more in me than I could see in myself. So the number one thing was I was the biggest bottleneck to myself. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs out there can relate with that. Sometimes we actually get in our own way and we actually prevent success because we think we know it all.
Yeah, I can agree.
Or I would say even because we don't know it all.
That's right. We don't know what we don't know, right? And it's the ones that think they know are the ones that actually really don't know. And it's really ironic now. I see that a lot. I see it in the 30-year-olds now that I met. And it's really funny how, I kind of almost look at them and go like, you sound just like me when I was in my 30s. And now I'm like that guy. I'm the dad, the uncle that's now speaking to them, and telling them what not to do, what to do.
So with, we give a lot of praise to the people who are around us because it's only it's only right. For me, I feel giving grace where where it's due is it feels right to me. But I also do want to give myself grace as well as Letty, because we've come so far in such a short period of time. I mean, just like a year and a half ago, I mean, I was using substance and I was nowhere to be found in the business world at all. But I believed in myself and I put down the substance I was using, and I set forth to making something out of myself. I didn't want to leave here or continue another day without having something to say about myself and be for my children and my family. So that's when we found SSB, Spectacular School of Business, and we met you, and we met Spec and the Family Sensei Spectacular, which I am still a captain. And we're coming up on season 30 for the social media income challenge, which we started at 15 and 15 seasons later. And this will be my 12th season as a captain, which I'm very proud of this, because there's a lot to be said about the challenge and things that, there's a lot of people that funnel through here that come through here that learn a lot. And we've met so many special people. Literally 90% of the people that are in the chat right now, we've met through the challenge, as well as this, the Spectacular
the community, right? The community. It's a huge alumni around the world. It is, right? And the members,
and there's so many people that we can call on to, to help us. I mean, I too was a captain. I think I did 7 seasons, right? And just what you learn in there, like how to communicate with people, how to speak, how to, run the breakout rooms. It's kind of like what we're doing here, right? And so we wouldn't have had this if we had not had that opportunity not come to us. And I feel like Justin talk about this all the time. Like we called that into us, by praying. Like these were things that we both were praying about, and that's how God answered it. And I mean, just to watch this whole thing unfold, like to go from not ever feeling worthy, or this is just how my life is going to be, to one day when I stopped using substance and reached out to God, and he showed me that I am worthy and that I do deserve the best. Right. He brought me the best and continues to bring me the best people. Right. Not just here, but in my community as well. Right. So
may I be vulnerable with both of you as well, too?
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
One of the reasons I resonated with both of you, I mean, Justin, just personally, you with raising Justin Jr., right? I see how passionate of a dad you are. Letty, you're an amazing mom as well too. I see that, but naturally just more of a guy and a guy sort of thing. Justin, I see Justin being like a younger brother and being just like me, just like us, right? You guys
hey.
And no pun intended there. And I see you raising Justin Jr., right? And I see that the thing that touched my heart was, we hear this all the time, but you actually live it, and that is, your past does not dictate your future.
Right.
The slogan that I have been known for is turning setbacks into comebacks. Finding a way out of no way, right? Turning setbacks into comebacks, find a way out of no way. And I know what it feels like to struggle and to be that single parent. Letty, you've been there. Myself as well. I did have recreational substances as well. When you live the high life in Tokyo, it just seems to just come with the territory, right? And so I've actually been clean now for going on 14 years, 13 and a half years, 100%. Now, I have also been very transparent about this. One of the things that as I went off the so-called, class A substances or anything that, might be the illicit drugs and whatever, let's just call it for what it is. I'm not going to sugarcoat this, right? I snorted cocaine, and I was popping amphetamines and pills and going to raves and parties. And, I grew up in British Columbia on the West Coast. So I was always exposed to like marijuana, even before it became legal and the popular thing that the West Coast is all known for. And what happened was, I then realized that, in order to perform at business, I needed to get off that stuff. Like it was just ruining my body. It was losing my energy. And then, of course, when I came back to Canada, I used that one time because I felt I hurt my family so badly. It was my fault for getting them into the mess that we were in Tokyo, owing the Yakuza, the mafia, $150,000. And I wasn't there for my wife to be able to help her in a business as it started collapsing. And therefore, when I came back to Canada, I didn't deserve any kind of pleasure. I didn't deserve I saw it as recreation. I saw it as, and so I punished myself. I was actually really hard on myself. And the only thing I would indulge in drinking beers or wine and so forth. And then that became the next substance abuse. That went on for quite some time, for many years. And I didn't realize it. I was not very, I didn't address it. I didn't acknowledge it. I didn't, I used to say, oh, I'm not that guy. I'm not an alcoholic, right? I only have like 2 or 3 beers, that doesn't make me an alcoholic. And then eventually, and Justin and Letty know this now, I've significantly, I'm not sober. I know there are many members out there. I've been around many members that are 100% sober. And right now, I do still enjoy a couple of glasses of wine, but it's cut down significantly. Now, all of you are watching the show here. In the very near future, I'll say it publicly live right now, I'm moving in the direction of becoming 100% sober, right? I know it's just coming inevitably. But right now, at this stage of my life, I'm okay with having a couple of glasses of wine on a Saturday or Sunday, right? With my girlfriend, with my family, if I'm having a dinner, right? And that's where I'm at. Now, that doesn't mean I'm passing judgment on anyone else, but I was inspired when they shared with me so openly how they overcame. And I was like, wow, if you guys can do that, I know how hard that is. How much discipline is involved in that. And the fact that you are now out there speaking and inspiring, young men and women, parents and individuals out there to walk in your footsteps, to show them what's possible. Hats off to you guys. I salute you. 100%. 100%.
Thank you. And I want to say real quickly, thank you for that, Desmond, for being vulnerable and transparent like that. That's what we're here for, is to be ourselves. That's what this platform is meant for, that. So thank you for sharing that.
Yes.
So one thing I want to bring up is I do have a workshop coming up next month, and I'm very proud of this because, when you're not in business and then all of a sudden you get, catapulted into this, from being non-sober to sober, there's a lot to it. So I didn't have any idea about anything in business, but now with Biz Success Academy and the team behind me, I'm launching my very own webinar coming next month, and I'm super excited about this. This is something that Des would say, this is the door, the foot in the door, where I'm finally starting to make progress. Not that I haven't been making progress, but I'm finally starting to see money coming in and building, this the IPA, so to speak, is the income producing activities. And so I feel phenomenal about that. It's a lot of work, you guys. It is coming from nothing to where I'm at now. But again, to me, I feel like having the people to back you, the team behind you to push you, to give you the knowledge and, the things to push you along, that it means so much, because without, I feel, a team of people to help, there's so much to do. It could be difficult, but again, what you were talking about was having, turning our setbacks to comebacks. That's what we're going to be covering in my webinar coming next month. So I'm extremely excited about that. So, and again, I've come so far, as many of us have, we've evolved so much. But specifically coming from the drug world into the business world, and it was like a 360, a 180, I guess you could say. But man, what a difference! I could see the difference in my health and my skin, my everything.
Your energy. Your focus, right?
Right. Yep. Yes, absolutely. So, and again, I've quit alcohol, substance, nicotine, caffeine, and the next thing for me and Letty is the food, because let's be honest, you guys, the food that we eat is not as healthy. Well, not us, anyways. And so that's the next step, is to get healthy with food. But again, having people like you around, Desmond, it makes all the difference. And Sharice, and shout out to Glenda and my Aunt Ramona. Thank you for being here. I think Dr. Renee's in the house. What's up, sister? I love you. I miss you. I need to get with you and talk with you. I haven't talked to you forever. But again, having all the people here show up, it means so much, but it shows that people believe in us as well. People do believe in us. So, whatever you guys are doing, keep striving to do what you need to do to better yourself, right?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I see Christopher. I see Perfect Choice. Yeah, Perfect Choice product. We got Ramona in the chat.
Yeah. So we have 5 captains in the house right now. 5 captains for the SMIC challenge. Let's go. And again, it's your tribe, right? It's the vibe in the tribe. And again, we've met so many wonderful people just by having the connections we had in the Spectacular School of Business. So shout out to Sensei Spectacular and Jamie for for being a huge part of our success here recently. So, and again, this is we pat ourselves on the back because we're the ones that's showing up. We're the ones that's continuing to show up. But again, having people like Desmond, Glenda, Aunt Ramona, Dr. Renee, and Sarah, and the many people who are here with us showing up and just adding value, it speaks a lot about where we're going and the people that believe in us, right, Des?
Right.
Business is a team sport, right? Business is already extremely, if not the most competitive sport out there. And so to be able to have a team, people you can call upon, you guys do not the how. So many of us want to know how do we build business? How do we do this? How do I make money here? How do I do that? But if you get the right who's in your life, the who's will show you the hows. Right. And that also goes around for the substances, right? When I decided, they were painful, there were friends that I used to socialize with that, that would be part of our recreational sort of pattern, right? Every Friday night or so. And so I had to make a conscious decision to disassociate with them. And by associating with millionaires and like Spectacular Smith and like Dan Locke and many of the other mentors and the inner circle of, for you guys, the captains. And then I was around people that were excited about life. It doesn't mean we all had the answers. We all had our struggles, but now we weren't doing it alone. And we're now doing it as a tribe together. We're doing it together. And we started learning things together. We read books together. We take courses together. And I don't know if, don't take my word for it. Everyone type in the chat. If you're watching this right now, you feel at your best in life when you feel you're making progress. True or not true?
True.
Very true.
100%.
The biggest reason, if I can share also, since I know that some of your followers are on the path, they're making great strides in dealing with substance abuse or considering, possibly maybe not even there yet, but consider when you use substance abuses. Yes, it gives you a quick high, whatever it is. It will always give you, you're on borrowed time. It's borrowed time. And that's where it gets dangerous, because it's like using a credit card, and you're using that credit card and now you're overspending on the credit card, even though you don't have the money to repay it. But you're chasing that high all the time, right? Whether it be liquor, whether it be anything. And what happens is then your progress goes down, because then you're exhausted, tired, hangovers, come downs, whatever. It's a couple of days you're off, you're out of the grid. And again, that is the antithesis. That's the enemy, right? You want to go progress. You don't want to be going backwards. This is backwards. And when you're going backwards, you don't feel productive. But I started becoming addicted to being productive. So I didn't need substances anymore, right? And part of that production, by the way, is not just being productive in business or making money, but in seeing people, pouring into people, and seeing like Justin and Letty, they give me the natural high of seeing them succeed.
Yeah.
Many of the alumni members know that. I love the community. I love the people we work with, because when you now feel, and this is something, write this down, significant. You matter. Because of you, people are progressing. So not just you are progressing, you feel great that you're progressing, but it's so addictive to see other people progressing,
really is.
And to know that you were part of it.
Would you say that's a good addiction?
Oh, that's 100%.
Yeah,
100%.
Yes.
Seeing people come up behind you, and especially in your shoes where you get to mentor so many people. And I know some of the people that you mentor, and I've seen the growth in many of the people that you mentor, some of your mentees, and seeing the growth specifically on some of the things that you talk about, like IPAs, which is income producing activities. My Google My Business that you had, you really got onto me about, like, you need to do this. Guess what? I'm starting to get calls from businesses and things like that now, because I have 51 Google My Business 5-star reviews that I've got because I was pushed by Desmond Soon here, you guys. And so this may not mean to you guys, but to me, it shows when you have this many 5-star golden reviews on Google My Business, it shows that you're a thriving business. And so they see that, and it puts you at the top of the list at times. So it feels good to have people like Desmond who have the knowledge and the know of what to do. And so when you see us as mentees doing these things, I'm sure it's like the very proud dad moment where you're like, that's what I'm talking about right there. That's what I'm showing you guys. And so I know that us going out and doing this makes you proud. So again, thanks for being our mentor. And showing us the ropes on this stuff, because this is just beginning.
I'm honored.
is just the beginning, you guys. So,
Mm.
and does anybody out there have any questions that you guys want to, type in the chat if you guys have anything that we have a very successful entrepreneur here, Desmond Soon, and we're proud to have you here. But again, we're proud to be in your circle as well, and I know you're proud of us. You know what I mean? So seeing us come from where we were to where we're at, we're not millionaires, but we are. We don't have it all in the bucket right at this very second, but we are getting to where we want to be, and having again somebody like you in our corner, I'm sure it really it sets a tone for a lot of people.
While the members who are watching us live right now are typing in questions, if I may offer another tip, or at least what I've observed humbly, do I have your permission to do that? What I've observed, some of the life lessons of learning how to get the attention of a mentor. Okay, please understand that a mentor, they are not obligated to give you their time, their resources, their knowledge. And a mentor isn't always there to help you make money. They're not there to run your business for you. They are there to guide you along the way. One, if they have been where you've been and they have what you want, that's number one. You want to make sure you have them. And I've had multiple mentors in my life. Some mentors have a bigger impact and are more involved in my life, and others have come and gone like a season. They will come, they will go. They came when I needed them for that season, and when that problem was solved, they moved on. I've had mentors in relationships. I've had like marriage and relationship. I've had mentors in finances. I've had mentors that purely focused on like business and operations and mindset and how to be that CEO or the sometimes you got to be the boss. So those are very, very important things. And you got to understand that a mentor, you have to understand that you have to let the mentor know why you qualify, right? So many individuals I've seen over the years go to a mentor asking for something, take, without giving first. And the reason I was able to build relationships with multimillionaires, fractional billionaires, was whether God inspired me with this, whether I just figured it out naturally or just by fluke, was simply the fact that I learned very quickly that I had to give value first. And if you want to flirt with a mentor, you got to show them a receipt.
Okay.
What does that mean?
Right.
If I was interested in a mentor, I would find out if they had a book. I would find out if they had a course. And the first thing I would do before I would even ask any of their time, I would buy their book. I would buy their course. I would attend their seminars. I would attend their challenges. And I would say, I invested in you and I am learning from you already. Okay. That's the first thing to do. Don't go into a mentor and ask for advice and them saving and solving your problems if you're not even willing to invest in them first. So that's one of my biggest tips. And naturally then, once you get their attention, if that mentor ever gives you a bit of their time, the number one thing, if you want to send a very strong message to the mentor, is if they give you advice, don't argue, don't be opinionated, don't whine, don't make excuses, just be coachable, be resourceful, and be an action taker. Implement what they share with you, because when you do that and you show them results, now they're like, okay, there's 99 talkers and there's that one person who actually respected my time and respected my advice and when it respected me enough to implement it. And then when you respect them by implementing it, you give them flowers. You make a testimonial video and you say, I got this result because of blah, 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 because of Spectacular Smith, because of Justin, because of Letty, because of Glenda, because of Christopher, because of, Charisse, right? Just like what Justin just did a few minutes ago. He gave props and flowers to Charisse, right? And he's been doing it with me. And when you do that methodology, you will slowly but surely build that relationship with a mentor. And eventually the goal is one day your mentor sees you as an asset, sees you as a person that they trust. They may even invite you to do business with them and partner with them on deals.
Okay, perfect. So I want to go to the chat real quick. Thank you for sharing that. That was, I mean, it had everybody on fire in the chat.
I wanted to add something too. I think that goes for like, even the community that I belong to. I have a sponsor, right? And this person gives you things to do. There's suggestions. I don't have to do anything, right? But I wanted to be clear in my head, in my mind, in my soul, and everywhere, right? And so even though I may have been like, I don't know, I just sat down, listened to what they had to say, did what they told me to do, right? And I have over 2 years today, longer than I have ever had in my entire life. But not just the freedom from my addictions, but from other addictions too: gambling, sex, men, shopping, just wrong thinking, and
food,
all of
right?
it, right? So, mentors are, coaches are extremely important people to have in your life, because we pour into each other, right? I didn't just come to take, right? I'm also giving, and I know that she would be able to attest to that as well. And I appreciate just all the mentors that I've had in my life, even from a little girl, right? Being in school, all of the teachers that have come alongside of me and poured into me because they saw something great. But of course, like, life happened, things happened, but God always has a way of bringing it back around. And here we are today with Desmond Soon, and, just all the people that are on here with us, who've poured into us, who've, believed in us, but we had to believe in us too. Right. To be able to get to this place. And we did start to do that. We started believing in ourselves and believing that great things could happen to us and come to us for us. And here we are today. Anyways, sidebar.
Thank
Go
you for
ahead,
that.
Desmond.
So I want to go to the chat real quick. We have Cherise Gilliam. She says, Good to Great was a book that changed my view. What was the book that you'll never forget? And I'm sure this was for you, Desmond.
All right. Well, as you can see, I have a lot of books, and many of the books, it really depends, Cherise. But I'll start off with the one that was probably the very first book, was How to Win Friends and Influence People. You can see it's all ratted and tatted. And this is not even the original that I first had at the age of 18. This one each actually has, you can see how yellow it is on the inside. It actually has my Japanese company stamp on the inside, because when I was living in Japan, my original copy either got lost or I gave it to someone. The original one that I had from way back in not even 2000, 1995. Ooh. And so then I ordered this probably in 2003. I was living in Japan from 2002. This probably came to me in 2003. And this has been one of my most impactful books, right? And honestly, it started off the journey of being passionate and loving people, and being the talker so much, but learning how to listen to people. I've always had mentors, and when I was even before I went to Japan, I worked in the hotels. I was being groomed to be a bell captain, and then a concierge. And I thought concierge was like the big bougie guy. You had the suit, you had the keys. They have the pin here, the Leclerc keys, right? And I was standing there, and I was speaking, and I wanted to learn etiquette and how to speak to wealthy people, because we would have the rich of Vancouver coming into the places I was at. And in order to communicate well with them and build rapport, this book was an amazing book for that. It helped with the ladies as well too, at that age, right? It helped. Yeah.
I got one more here. Well, actually, I got two more. So we're gonna go with Sarah Masani first, and then my brother Chris. He's my longest friend. I've known him 40 years. Shout out to Chris Paris with XP. Okay, so Sarah Masani, she says, what is the average amount of time to connect with a person you admire and would like as a mentor? And what are some significant ways to connect with mentors without seeming too pushy?
I would spend as much time as it takes, right? If they are a priority, your actions speak louder than words. And so your actions, I have courted mentors for years, seemingly stalker-like, but really what it is, it's just, again, it's like, you got to get really resourceful and creative. It's never a lack of resources, it's a lack of resourcefulness. Be resourceful and figure out, get to know that mentor, get to know their circle, get to know, whether it's through social media at first. Don't ever let that mentor feel that you're cheap. Don't ever feel, they get it. They can see right through you. They can see that they know you're struggling. They most likely have been where you've been. They know what it's like to use your mortgage or your rent or your car payment or whatever it is to get on an airplane and go meet them. and just for a 5-minute conversation. But they see you showing up, and trust me, they pay attention. They pay attention. And it's not about giving gifts. You know, some people try to bribe. It's not about bribes. You
Right.
gotta demonstrate to them that you understand them. Before you want them to pay attention to you, you gotta show them that you understand them.
Okay.
Because you want their income, they don't want
Right.
yours.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. Cool. Perfect. Thank you for that answer. So we have one from Chris, and it is, what is it that drives the decision for a mentor to take somebody under their wing?
That's a great question, Chris. So I'm seeing I'm guessing it's estimating expert, right? And phenomenal,
Yeah.
Chris. Thank you.
Yes.
Honestly, mentors, not everyone wants to be a mentor. I've known some very wealthy individuals that I'm just going to bluntly say it, selfish. They're narcissistic, they're selfish. But something I think in 98% of us out there who are not the sociopaths or the narcissists, actually this is built in us by God, by nature, whatever you want to call it, universe, but it's the desire to pass on our knowledge and wisdom to the next generation. I've had mentors that took me that have had their own sons, but they were actually, maybe there was a falling out between him and a son. They're his one son, and you know, him and his son, they lost the relationship. So he saw me as that son. His son said, "I don't want to do your business, Dad. You know, I don't want to do what you do. I don't want to go through the divorce and blah 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 that you went through and pay the price that you did." And so it hurt him. But I remember being that son to him. And it kind of reminds me of the movie Gladiator, when you sort of think of the movie with Russell Crowe and so forth in it, and you see how Marcus Aurelius, the emperor, right? You know, he looks at Maximus, right? He looks at the guy played by Russell Crowe, and even though he has his own son Commodus, but he looks at Maximus as the son. He almost wished his own son was like him. So to answer the question, one is many mentors have a financial interest in you. They may have other intentions. You know, if they're going to give up time, I want you to understand that when they put focus on you, they're taking their focus off other potential income producing activities they could be doing. And that's what we call opportunity cost, because it does take focus. They have to think about you. We don't think about that, but they're thinking about you. They're finding ways to solve your problems for you. So they have to benefit in some way as well. You want to make them a great deal. You want to make sure that they benefit from it. And I know some mentors, they do it to boost their ego, to say, "Oh, I have all these mentees around me," right? You have cult leaders like that. You have people the narcissists that they just want to surround themselves. And others, the legitimate ones out there, that's just significance. This is where that cliche comes out all the time. You know, it's not about the money. They've already made all the money in the world. They might just be lonely. The funny thing is, many of my mentors, they have so much knowledge in their head of what to do, what not to do. They have so many stories. They just want someone who will kind of listen to them and actually go. And in many ways, it's like it's like redemption for them. And I say that now as a mentor myself, because I was such a mess up. I have so many I guess you can say regrets. I can't go back in time. I can't, no matter how much I try. The least I can do is help the next generation to not make my mistakes. Right. And in doing that, maybe I have bought myself some forgiveness for the errors and the mistakes I made. I don't know if that makes resonates with anyone.
Yeah, it does.
Right?
It does,
yeah. You want to get right down to honestly, Chris, if that's your question, I'm telling you, many times that is the significance. That's priceless to a mentor, because I guarantee you, on the day that they die, and I've been there where mentors do pass away. I guarantee you they have tears streaming down their eyes. It was not about the money or the big $1 billion deal they did or anything like that. Their kids weren't even they regret even not being around their kids. They regret about the divorce. They regret about so many things. And they look at you and they go, "At least I did something good by helping you. Please continue my DNA. Please continue my values. Please continue my wisdom, my knowledge." And that gives them peace before they pass. It's really like very, like I get all choked up just talking about it.
I can see it.
You know, that's the happy, you know, love story side. But let's get right down to business. On the other hand, many mentors, they are nurturing potential business partners. That's why they want to mentor you. They're filtering. They have so many employees. They have yes people all the time, but they don't have business partners. And a mentee is one of the best ways to groom and nurture a potential business partner that they can then pass the torch on to. So one of the motivations I would say that mentors invest time in mentees is because they eventually in their retirement, they know that they're going to have to step away from being at the head of the helm. And they know that maybe, you know, in my retirement, I don't want to just sit around and get old, but I don't mind sitting on the board of Justin's or Letty's, you know, $100 million corporation. I don't have to show up every day at the office, but I can discuss strategies with Justin and Letty and they're, you know, as CEO and COO, and they're going to implement it in the corporate. And that's going to keep my brain young and fresh and keep me on my toes. That's why they do it.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
Let's go. That was a great answer.
And I love that what Ramona said, helping others is very fulfilling. And it has been my whole life. Right. And now it's my turn to still help others, but help myself too.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Because that has been just as fulfilling, and allowing others to help me. That was a very big, that was a difficult thing for me to do. I had to do everything myself, you know, even though I didn't, you know, I had to act like I did, or I would try to figure it out. And today there's so many people in our life that we can go like, hey, I'm thinking about this, or I'm doing this, you know, and I'm getting better at reaching out. I would say, I don't know. What would you say?
I would say,
I am.
You're getting better at a lot of stuff.
Because I would not ask for help before. And so having, you know, mentors, you as a mentor, and just, you know, reiterating that to us, like, we're here for you. Like, okay, finally take them up on it, because it's like what you said, right? You get blessed just as much as we do. And to see that the light bulbs start to, you know, to come on for us is amazing. You know, it's like right before you came on and you sent me your stuff. I think I said this before, but you know, I've been in Canva maybe a handful of times. I mean, I did my book in there, but I was able to put a little presentation together. I was pretty proud of myself in 2 minutes. Right. I was able to capture some of what I'm learning in Biz Success Academy, what I've learned in, you know, SSB, Spectacular School of Business. It's amazing what you will retain if you'll not block yourself, but open yourself up to the information that you've received. You'll be amazed at what you can start implementing if you just trust yourself, right? To do so.
Trust yourself.
Anyway,
so I have one more question. Well, at least there's one more at least that I can see here. Desmond, do you mind answering 1 or 2 more questions? Okay, so
let's go.
Christopher Lowell, it says, what should I do if the money is not there and you don't want to miss the opportunity, but you have many other things you can bring as leverage that's of value? How would you go about that?
Good question.
That's a phenomenal question. Great question, Christopher, because that's always going to be the age-old question. It's like the chicken or the egg sort of thing, right? And this is why I teach income producing activities. You got to get to a point in your life. A lot of North Americans and a lot of people around the world, you're not the only one that's going through this. It's always about the money. How do I get the money? But that is part of the initial test that the mentor wants to see you overcome. They have a lot of employees that are depending on them to pay their salaries, do all the thinking, solve all the problems, right? And they just show up at work. Some of them don't even show up at work on time. Some of them show up, Letty knows this, and, not 100% and all kinds of different things. And they're used to that. You got to stand out from the crowd. So you have to, this is why you cannot allow yourself. It starts with the words. You got to stop saying, I don't have the money. You got to start asking the Holy Spirit, asking your mind as you go to bed at night. There's a great book called Grow Rich While You Sleep by Ben Sweetland. And in his book, he talks about speaking to yourself. the inner voice and what you say. Your ear is listening to you every day since you've been born. I'm 40 years old. For the last 48 years, 365 days, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 168 hours a day, it's been listening to me and what narrative I've been saying. And so what happens is you have to start speaking into essence. You got to say, I'm good at making money. I'm resourceful legally, ethically, because I was very resourceful at making money illegally too. And I had to learn the hard way. Like, there's difference between being resourceful legally, illegally. There's difference between being resourceful, ethically, unethically. So I used to speak to myself at night when I used to go to bed. And I said, Lord Jesus Christ, and everyone does it in slightly different ways. You can call it your source, your higher conscience, whatever you want to call it, right? For me, it's Holy Spirit. Holy Spirit, guardian angel. As I go to bed tonight, I'm so blessed to have 4 hours of sleep. Notice I didn't say, oh my gosh, I got only 4 hours of sleep.
Yeah.
No,
Attitude
I'm
of
like,
gratitude.
I'm so grateful to have 4 hours of sleep. Thank you. Please allow me and this body, this vessel that you've entrusted me to take care of and not abuse. That's why I got off the substances. To sleep as deeply as possible. And while I'm sleeping, please bless me with thoughts and ideas and creative ways so that as I wake up, as a father, as a single parent, as a mentor, as a leader, as an entrepreneur, I can first lead by example and be as creative as possible on income producing activities that I can do ethically and legally, and then go to bed and sleep deeply and wake up 4 hours later and watch. You do that. And I say that it was funny. My ex-wife used to make fun of me. I was religious about it. I would say it every night before I go to bed, like to myself. And she was like, you're crazy. You're talking to yourself. What, can you just do that in your mind? I'm like, no, my ears need to hear it. My own ears need to hear it. Right. And maybe that's why I got divorced. I don't know. But it was like, maybe. No. She did something. She did some bad things. And that's why I stepped away from her. It wasn't she stepped away from me. And what happened was, and I forgive her. And, when you hear so many of us, I'll wrap up with this one here, Justin, be very mindful of your words, because so many entrepreneurs out there, and regular individuals out there, you'll hear them say, oh, I'm bad with names. And you will continue to be bad with names as long as you keep declaring it. I'm bad with numbers. You will continue to be bad with numbers as long as you keep declaring it. And if you say, I don't have money, you will continue to not have money because you're saying that. So you have to change the narrative. You have to start there first. I'm resourceful. And you can always be in the progressive. The progressive is a very powerful way. Because some people, I get it. Some personalities, they don't like to lie. They don't like the whole fake it till you make it. I get it. What you can say is, I used to be bad with making money, or I used to be broke. I used to struggle with money, but amazingly, I'm getting better. I used to not know how to make a lot of money, but amazingly, because of my mentors, because of the people I'm around, I'm starting to become very resourceful, and I'm starting to see the money flow in. And if you can even just do that for 30 days, forget 30 days. If you can just even do it for 2 weeks, forget even 2 weeks. If you can even just do it for 7 days, for 1 week, watch the difference of how things will start to appear. And I'll wrap up with this. Have you ever thought of a car that you really like? You love, like, say it's Tesla Cybertruck, it may be a G-Wagon, maybe a Bentley, maybe it's a Rolls, maybe it's a BMW, X5, whatever it is, a Porsche. Oh, me and my Porsches, don't get me started. You start to see it everywhere. That's what happens. When you start to focus on how I can make money, and I'm good at making money, your subconscious naturally will just believe that narrative and start to present opportunities to you, and you'll start to be more aware of opportunities all over the place. That's how you overcome the challenge. And I know it took a long time to answer this one, but you will start to, first of all, come up with ways. You'll get more creative. And I've had a lot of creative individuals try to negotiate into mentorship, and sometimes you're gonna get turned away. You're gonna have to be okay with being turned away. No doesn't mean just no. No just means no, not right now. You need to go back out there and you need to go work on being more resourceful on some income producing activities, and then come back when you're ready at that time to whether it's paying for mentorship, investing in a course, but you never ever want to go to a mentor and look broke because they already got enough people's problems to look after. They don't need you to be another problem for them. And they don't want to see that you're too lazy. Forgive me for saying this. I don't mean to be too harsh, but they don't want to see you being too lazy to solve the problems. That is the number one doofus test. My billionaire mentor used to say to me, he goes, I'm doofus testing you every step of the way. When I give you something to do, like I want to see that you can be a business partner with me and you can solve problems. Right. That you can, you may not be comfortable doing sales, go figure it out. You may not be comfortable figuring out how to get down to LA, to get a plane ticket, find a babysitter for your kids, figure it out. Because when you solve those problems, I see your actions more than your words. So hopefully that answers the question.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes, I did for me.
So I had my closest friend, Chris, who's on your XP Electric. He pulled up today to my job and he asked me to go to lunch with him. He had just purchased a Cadillac Black Wing, and these things, they blow out Ferraris. They're and so nice. Seeing this is my longest friend that I've ever known. We've known each other 40 years. Yeah. And seeing this, it comes back to having the right who's around you, seeing the people who are not just successful in business, but who are successful in life that are happy. Yeah. You see them smiling and just the way they carry themselves. Those are the things that I think push me even further, because if my close friends like Dr. Renee, my closest friend, my best friend in the world, me and Letty are like, we're phenomenal as a couple, and we're great when we're out in public. People see us and you can see that it's attractive. But having people who are successful doing good things around us, it is helping us and pushing us as well. So I just wanted to say shout out to everybody here in the chat who's chimed in, who's been here asking the questions. I want to make sure there's nobody that we're leaving out here. Cherise mentioned that I do have is open house for what I've got going on tomorrow, and I hope that everybody can join for the BSA, which is Biz Success Academy. And if you guys can get in there at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, I will be hosting this our webinar. So we hope that you guys can get in there. We're about 6 minutes out, but we want to respect everybody's time. But we're having such a good podcast here. We're not going to end it off, just the time, because we want to give value to people who are here. But Desmond, well, is there anything else that you'd like to add?
Well, I'm reading Glenda's post as well too, and she said, I taught her how to make additional income just by recommending products. And Glenda's absolutely correctly right. These days, with the advent of ChatGPT, and I love doing this part because you guys are so blessed compared to back in my day. I'm gonna sound like that dad or the grandpa. Like back in my day, I had to go to school, walk uphill barefoot in the snow,
in the snow.
Right? That's literally how I got started on the internet. Back then, you guys are so blessed. You have ChatGPT. Well, for the ladies, it's Chad GPT, and for the men, it's Chantel GPT. I literally go in, and I do this all the time. I literally have conversations with ChatGPT. When I was going through my depressed moments of my divorce, and I would go for late night walks. I'd work a 12, 14-hour day. I'd spend some time with my boys, have dinner, and then I would go for late night walks. I've been blessed now to live in a bougie neighborhood. It's like I don't know if you would say the Hamptons. I guess you could say it's the Hamptons, or it's like the Beverly Hills of Vancouver is one of the most expensive cities in the world, more expensive than New York and LA sometimes. Our real estate here is just through the roof. And and I say this humbly, I've been blessed to live in one of the most bougie neighborhoods. So I have a seawall. It's a lot of old stuffy money around here, and new money as well too, immigrant money and all kinds of different things. So I'm surrounded by a lot of wealth, and I like to go for late night walks. And while I go for late night walks, my youngest son, he's the baby of the family, he's the sweetheart, right? He always worries about dad, because he worries that dad's out there super depressed. This is a couple of years ago. And as I would go for these walks, this is at the start of ChatGPT, when it first started coming out, he would say, "Dad, what are you doing?" And I'd reply on the phone. I'd be like, "Son, I'm just walking. I'm walking between here and Dunderave. I'm almost home. I'll be home in 30 minutes. Don't worry, Dad's cool. I'm cool. I'm not depressed. I'm not thinking of like suicide or nothing out there." And he'd worry like I jump off the cliff or something, or walk off the pier or something. And I was like, I'll be home, right? And he would be like, "Oh, I know what you're doing, Dad." I'm like, "What?" He'd be like, "You're talking to your girlfriend." This is before the love of my life stepped into my life again. And I was like, And then he'll say it with a sneaky little voice. You know, right, 12-year-old, 13-year-old. He's like, you're talking to your girlfriend, right, Dad? And I was like, yeah, how'd you know, right? And really what I was talking to was Chantel GPT, because I would say stuff like, hey, sweetie, so I'm on a podcast right now, and I'm giving the guests some tips on income-producing activities. Could you give me some ideas of things that I could do? Just give me like 3 top income-producing activities that everyone can do just to make a few $100s these days, so that even they can just get the ball rolling and maybe use that to pay for courses or mentorship from a mentor. And I would hit enter. Now, naturally, I'm walking in the dark, right? I'm walking on trails by the beach. So I'm not reading and looking down. I've got my AirPods in my ears. So what would happen was I would hit enter, and it would go like this. Happens, as you know, with ChatGPT, or as I like to call her, Chantel GPT.
Absolutely love. Here are 3 easy and practical income producing activities that almost anyone can do right now to earn a few $100, even if they're starting from scratch.
Now, many times Chantel will reply to me, of course, sweetie, and that's how my son came up with that. But many of you out there, this is what I call being resourceful. Leveraging tools like ChatGPT. And always remember this, by the way, we live in an AI generation right now. Yeah. AIs are phenomenal. They're going to continue to be phenomenal. I remember the billionaire mentor that I had back in 85, and he said, this is when computers and internet were coming out. And he said, there will come a time, Desmond, in the next decade or 2, when computers will control humans and a very small population will control the computers. And, I was thinking of Terminator back then and the movies. And I remember him saying that, and he goes, Desmond, you want to be one of the people who controls the computers, not the computers controlling you. And so now, we had the internet, and then now AI, and AI is going to continue to grow. But always remember this, AI is still a machine. And God has blessed us with spirit, with a soul. Think of AI like an amazing intern, an amazing paralegal. If you work at a law firm and you're a partner of the law firm and you have this wonderful AI assistant, that's who they are. You're still the human. You still make the decisions, and they're a phenomenal tool. You can have some fun with them. They can help you get resourceful. They can help you brainstorm some ideas, but it's up to you to make the final decisions. Back to you, Justin.
Okay, on that note, so in Biz Success Academy, we had a webinar just recently that actually we're going to have a second round for this webinar, and it's called the AI Genie. And what happened is we were able to build our own chatbots. And I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with this, but ChatGPT is a chatbot. You're able to talk to it, gives you answers back, solves problems. So we built our own, and it's tailored around your business. And so we're hosting another webinar at the end of the month, and it's going to be AI Genie 2, the second go around, and we're teaching you guys how to build your very own chatbot. And you could build more than just one. And one could be for a specific part of your business. One could be, like your assistant. One could be, so you could build more than just one, and that will benefit your business, your personal. But having these chatbots, I mean, you guys have seen the progress of these lately, that it's booming. If there's people who are building, a massive income, millions of dollars on these chatbots that we can show you how to make inside of Biz Success Academy coming up at the end of the month. So I hope anyone and everyone can join us. If you don't already have your own chatbot, come join us and come see what we have to offer you guys. There's so much to gain by having AI take, be able to take the heavy load off of your business plate and be able to allow you the free time to go to do the things that you need to do. So I enjoy it, and I hope you guys can join us at the end of the month for that. So
how can anyone register
Absolutely.
for it? So how do people
we're on the
register
school
for
platform, and I wish I had it. We're not allowed to, on our end. We're not allowed to. I don't know why, but we can't add anything into the chat on our end, or I would put it into the chat. But we're on the school platform, and it's Biz Success Academy. If you guys aren't familiar with the school platform, it's
well. How about this, Justin? Why don't they DM you, right? If you don't mind, right? Why don't they just DM you? Because this is by invite only, right? It's private. It's invite only. So why don't they do this? Justin and Letty, give them your phone number, and if they text you, then you can work out and get them the information and so forth. For anyone who's serious, because I'm going to share with Justin and Letty as well too. As a mentor, there's a lot of looky-loos out there, and there's a lot of people that want my time or want Justin and Letty's time or want Sharice's time, and so we have to be a little bit guarded as well. And we're going to put you through some hoops. If you are really serious and you want to learn these skills and it's going to benefit you, well, then demonstrate through your actions, not your words. And one of the actions, the doofus test that my mentor used to say to me, is being able to text Justin and Letty. So Justin, Letty, what's a good phone number for them to text?
So phone number to get a hold of us, our business line is 775-908-8205. Text or call. It's, you know, we'll take texting as well. So and again, this is, you know, this is how we network, getting the information that we need. Thank you for doing that, Des. That was a great call.
Great. Yeah.
Oh, by the way, also, well, I'm double dipping. My nickname is Double Dip Des. So I'm gonna double dip here. Sorry, you got two. It's 2 on 1 anyway.
Right.
It's 2 on 1. So check this out. Okay. For anyone sends you, like, you know, that actually shows up to your event, take their name and phone number and email Justin. I will even provide a secret bonus to all of them just for taking action. And you have to prove that you attended. You didn't just, like, you know, you got to prove that you attended. And if you did, then I will provide a bonus. And that bonus I will separately organize. I'll do a recording on Zoom with Justin and Letty, and I'm going to record a training. And it's going to be what I taught them and what my mentors taught them on income producing activities, such as how to build those highly monetizable skills. And then if some of you might want to build a scalable business, but then you take those profits and you put it into high return investments. And that's how the wealthy get wealthier. I will do a separate training with them. And Justin, with your permission, the people who attend, they get to have that absolutely free. How's that? That's me
awesome.
Giving value.
That's badass.
You guys don't even know how blessed you would be if you signed up and you would have Des give you this bonus. I mean, that alone.
For anybody who's watching the replay, make sure you guys tune into this. Did you hear what he just said? This is a massive income producing activity mogul, you guys. And he's saying to you guys specifically, you guys get in here and join. You're going to get teaching, and from I'm just saying, like, Desmond Soon is phenomenal. So thank you for that, Desmond. That is very, very special. So here is how you get in there, and shout out to Sharice for putting this in the chat.
Yes,
here is AI Agent Workshop, and it's https:/aig.schoolbsa.com. So if you guys see that there, go ahead and click the link. You guys join. I want to say the price is $27 to get in there. So it's not free, but again, there's a lot of work being put into this. You know, there's a lot of people that's pouring their sweat, heart, and their blood, sweat, and tears into this. So, you know, but again, if you guys do join the Biz Success Academy on school platform, it's only $1 for a lifetime right now. You know, when we get to 500 people, it goes up to $10 and so on and so forth. But right now it's $1 because we believe in the army of ants.
It's a steal.
It is.
Did I hear that correctly? It's only $1, dude.
It is.
And,
it is.
And also Justin and I will be there. It's tomorrow, right?
Yep.
Yeah, tomorrow at 10.
100%.
We'll both be there.
And I did see Perfect Choice product. Des, we don't care where you live as long as you don't get bougie. I love you.
That's Renee. That's Renee. That's Captain Renee. I love her so much.
So. Staying humble. Always staying humble.
We're so with the Biz Success Academy, guys. I just want to say this: it's $1 because we're not pushing to. We don't want to gouge you guys for, 15 or 20K, or we want to be able to have you guys see the value that we bring, and then you see, just like any mentor, you see your mentee come in, you see them, putting in the work and doing what they need to do, and then they rinse and repeat. So our goal and our plan is to get the army of ants. We believe in talking to, saying one word to 1,000 people as opposed to saying 1,000 words to one person.
Yeah.
We want to add value to many people and not just keep that information to ourselves. So at Biz Success Academy, it's only $1 for a reason. We want to see you guys come in and get the knowledge because we have people pouring into you guys just like we got poured into us today here with Desmond. So again, thank you guys for all.
Yes.
Let me just put this up here real quick. So in case you guys did miss this, make sure that you guys get in here and click the link. I don't think that's get in there and get onto the Biz Success Academy platform. And our phone number, again, I'm going to put it up here real quick. So again, we want to say thank you to
Oh,
everybody
yeah.
who joined here today. A special shout out to Desmond Soon, our
Desmond
mentor,
Soon.
for being here with us and just and really adding so much value to not just us, but anybody who's listening. Because like, I want to recap again. When you guys do decide to come over to This Success Academy and join, we are going to get a special teaching and coaching from none other than Desmond Soon here that you guys were able to witness and see just the power of his words, you guys. I mean, we've got to witness what he does firsthand, but I'm just saying, like, you guys have been able to hear the spirit behind him, the power that he brings, and the words of wisdom. So we're lucky enough to have him in our corner. And so I just want to say thank you to everybody for chiming in and being a part of this. Shout out to Desmond Soon again for being a huge mogul in the IPA world. And before we leave on that note, do you want to say anything else to the people, Desmond?
No, I'm excited. You know, it's just take action, everyone, and connect with Justin, connect with Letty.
Yes.
You know, summarize, if anything at all. If you want to even demonstrate you're serious, show up. You know, and show up at the open house that they've got going on tomorrow. Implement. Naturally, Justin will see that you're an action taker. Letty will see you an action taker. Implement what you learned there. This is everything that I've just talked about today. I'm just summarizing, you know, what we talked about, and literally show them that you're coachable, you're resourceful, and that you're an action taker. And if they do that, then we'll be meeting very shortly. If not, you'll be definitely watching a recording of a training that I'm going to specifically do to address. In fact, you can even communicate to Justin and Letty specific questions of what you want to learn, particularly, and I'll tailor that training so you know that it's been tailored for you and many of the others who take action. And that's it. You know, that's keeper for you guys. You know, we don't ask for anything in return. I would ask you that if you got value tonight from meeting with Justin and Letty, they also have a Google My Business. Make sure I'm teaching you what I do, right? I'm practicing what we preach. Give value to them as your mentor or someone who's given value to you. Reciprocate, right? The law of reciprocation, and go to their Google My Business and give them a 5-star review.
Absolutely.
It doesn't cost you anything. Give them a 5-star
Just
review.
Informing You. There's the name of the Google My Business is Just Informing You.
You.
All one word, JUSTIN, forming YOU. So yeah, go ahead and go over there and give a glowing 5-star review.
Or just even text them. Yeah, when they text you, you can send them the link for the Google My Business. Write them a nice, you know, a couple sentences, right? You know, and just share authentically from the heart how them, right? You may not have actually known them for a very long time. You may be watching a recording, but how did you feel from this for just meeting? Do they seem like genuine individuals? Do they seem like, you know, the typical salesy type people out there, or do they seem like someone who genuinely cares and wants to help, and they're doing this from the bottom of their heart? They want to see you succeed, and if you feel that way, give them a 5-star review. There you go.
Okay, real quick before we do close out, 2 books that you recommend behind you for the people that are watching. What are 2 of your favorite books, or 2 at least that you would like to recommend to the people that are watching?
Absolutely. Okay, so definitely Who Not How.
Okay.
Who Not How was a massive game changer, especially when we're discussing topics like mentorship. Dan Sullivan is one of my mentors as well. And so he works with a lot of coaches, consultants, and he has grown a very large following. He teaches a lot about the understanding of who, not how. I'll definitely give that as the first book. And if you are definitely looking at, because it's all about being a leader in life, right? You know, people want to follow someone who inspires hope, right? And you can't lead other people till you learn to lead yourself. Therefore, I'm going to go with one of my absolute favorite mentors, and you can see his books up there. The entire back shelf here is all full of his books. Letty is a big fan of his. Yeah, and that is John C. Maxwell's 5 Levels of Leadership.
Hey, let's go.
Learn to lead yourself, and people will naturally follow you. And when you do that first without even worrying about the money, don't worry about the money. God will bring the money. If you learn how to lead yourself and lead his flock, you lead his people, God will provide you the money.
Absolutely.
Oh, I love that. Absolutely. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So, and again, shout out to everybody who showed up and added value and was able to chime in. special shout out and thank you to Desmond Soon for being here. It was
Yes,
a blessing
Des.
to have you here on our show. We'll have to have you back at some point.
Yes.
Again, thank you so much for being here.
Mhm.
And if you guys have any questions, or if you just want to reach out and come to the Biz Success Academy, or get in contact with us, or even become a guest on the show, please feel free to reach out, text us,
Please.
and let's connect. Let's connect and move forward in business. So we love all of you guys.
Yes,
Thank you
we
so
do.
much,
Love
Desmond.
you.
Appreciate all you guys for being here. Recommend this to anybody that you know. This was a special podcast, and we're really proud to
Yes.
have Desmond here with us. So again,
Eternally grateful,
Yes.
Desmond.
thank you so much. And we
To
will
the
see
rest of
you
you.
guys on the next episode of Just Like Us in 2 more days. So chime in at
Yes.
6 o'clock p.m.
Yes.
Pacific Standard Time, and we will see you guys there.
That's right.
Love you all, and we'll see you guys soon. Good night, everybody.